If your bank account that does direct deposit is not the bank that does transactional spending, you never have to change how your money gets to you. You just have to change how your money leaves you. These days, I've noticed with fintech that they are now doing ACH transactions, which is not a wire transfer. You know that there's wire transfer costs where they charge you $65 or $15, $20 to wire money to other places. But now they have a thing where they're doing ACH, which is automatic checks, like electronic checks that they send from one place to the next. If you pre-schedule an ACH transaction between two accounts that you own, you can send money from one account to another account for free. It's just you got to wait 2 to 3 days for it to clear the next account. With that being said, you don't need to go to the ATM machine, take money out of one bank, drive it to the next one, and drop it off. You just need to. And your money is right where you can mess with it. And if all of your bills are supposed to start getting paid the day after that money is supposed to clear the bank, you ain't got to worry. Pay all your bills a month and a half, 2 months in advance. You ain't got to worry. Everything's copacetic. He said money is only good when it's being used, and it's only great when it's expected to. All right, Greg, that's strike one. I didn't see that message. He's gonna come up here being ridiculous. Uh, uh, a 20 has the same volume as a $1 bill until used. Actually, a $20 bill and a $1 bill has the same value as construction paper until it's been used. That's the way it is. They have literally no value until they're spent. So, and then most of us are doing electronic currency right now. So we have more scenarios where we're using our wallet, our Google Pay, Apple Pay, Samsung Pay. Some of us have Chime accounts, Clio accounts, other sorts of electronic banking accounts where are our situations are like we're using our phone to pay bills instead of actually pulling cash out of our wallet. Like I had it happen today. I was on my way to the post office, and don't worry, guys, we're gonna get to this relationship thing, but I wanted to talk about this real quick. I was going to the post office, and somebody had broke down in the street, and everybody was driving around. So young lady pushing the car by herself. Now the male chauvinist pig would have said, "Let her push that shit by herself." But good-hearted fella, I said, "Yeah, I'll go ahead and I'll give you a ride." So I'm not gonna scratch my car doing this shit. I parked my car on the side of the road. I went and helped her push her car into a parking lot. She didn't have any money for her to put gas in her car. So I decided these are the bad mistakes that we make in life, but I tried to make it small. I decided to go ahead and get her $5 because she wanted to cash at me this stuff. And there's a point to the story, but I decided that I'll go ahead and get her the gas. So I went down to the nearby gas station to go and get her $5 worth of gas, just $5. It's a lot of money. It was like 2 gallons of gas, but I left my wallet at home. So I had to use my digital card, have them type in the thing. And they were originally about to tell me no, but then what happened was when I explained to them that it wasn't for me, it was for somebody stranded on the side of the road, they were like, "Oh, we'll do whatever we can for you." I got discounts on the gas and everything like that so that I could bring the gas back to them so that they could get the gas that they needed so that they can go on about their day. So that's what I did. Um, and the moral of that story was, because I could get on my cell phone and show my debit card to the cashier. I did not need my wallet. But if I would have had the type of phone where I could have touched the gas pump, I still would not have needed to talk to the cashier because I could have Bluetooth touched the gas pump and just paid with my cell phone because I leave with my cell phone. So we're not really using paper currency anymore like we used to. More than 60% of transactions are electronic, but paper money still has value somewhere, especially when the power goes out. So you might want to buy you some gold and silver doubloons because when the power goes out, you can bing, get them with a gold coin. Michael said, my wallet is always empty. Things want to charge for counting the change, and usually 10%. Uh-uh. Oh yeah, because if they talk about some, if you don't put them in the penny roll, so now you got to pay money to put them into the roll so that they lazy ass ain't got to count the money. Like, yeah, that's all right. I'm good. That's good. I'll just take it to the gas station and just hand it to the person at the gas station, give them $100 worth of pennies, and let them take their time and count it. You can't turn away currency, my guy. Uh, Marshall says, "Stop, Greg." Yeah, yeah. I warned him. He gonna have to behave. Can you help me learn about the Bible? I mean, we can eventually. Where do I start with the Bible? On page 1. That's what you do. Start with the table of contents and just read it from cover to cover. And if you don't understand it, read it again. And if you need a translation, read the Quran. Same story. There you go. I used to change at garage sales. Oh, yeah, that's a good way to go. That's a good way to go. Garage sales, Walmart, anywhere cash is accepted. I tell people behind me, this is gonna take a while. Bag of cash, and you have to put your pennies in one of those Crown Royal bags. That way they know you're serious. And you slam that Crown Royal bag on the table, or 2 Crown Royal bags on the table, so that you're like Yosemite Sam. You're like, shing. He says his ex-wife practices the religion with the tiny hat. Okay, the tiny hat. I don't know what that's about. I know that if I'm living with somebody that likes to take money out of my pocket, I don't keep money in my pocket. That way we don't have that problem. When I was younger and I used to go party with folks, I would leave all of my credit cards hidden in certain areas of my vehicle and walk into the building with only my ID. That way I couldn't spend any money and nobody else could spend money on my behalf. So if I got too drunk to know what was going on, I can't pay for anything because I walked in the building with just my ID. And usually I would walk in with my passport card. That way my driver's license would be in the car somewhere. That way I wouldn't lose my driver's license. And you start learning stuff like that when you have like real world catastrophic experiences. But it is what it is. But let's go ahead and move on to today's topic, because I know a lot of people are popping in and popping out because they wanted to see what was going on. Dang, it came back anyway. I shut all of that stuff down, but it's late though. It's like, oh no, it's early. We've got 3 minutes. It's back. It popped back up. I don't know what that thing is. We're gonna buy a new computer, I swear. But let's go ahead and get on to today's topic. I want you guys to imagine real quick pouring all of your water into a beautiful ornament glass that has a tiny invisible crack in the bottom of it. Think about this. Yeah, bro, it's like clockwork. So I took your advice, and that's what I was talking about at the beginning of the show. I took your advice. I did the malware thing, downloaded it, updated everything. That's one of the reasons why the show started late today. It's still running a scan in the background, and whatever it picked up, I did not turn it off. It's at 51%. The antivirus scan is at 51%. So once it's done, whatever that virus is, if it's there, I should be able to remove it. But until the scan is done, which I'll probably be done with the show before the deep scan is done. So I didn't want to miss the show because I was doing a scan. Do you believe in Jesus or a higher power? Most people, regardless of whether or not they admit it, have been raised with some sort of religious background, at least up until about like 2015. The young kids these days that are like 15 or 17 years old may not have grown up with a religious background. But all of us that are middle aged, that grew up in the 80s and 90s, 70s and 60s, we all grew up with a religious background. Our parents used to beat our ass and take us to church, and we was in church every Sunday. Some of us was in the choir practice on Wednesday, and a lot of us who had that diehard family member that was going to church every day, we had choir rehearsal, we had Bible study, we had main church, We had the deacon meeting. Like, come on now, most of us know what church is about, and truthfully, all the laws in the United States are based off of the Ten Commandments from the Bible. So, if you look at those, if you look at any one law, uh, lying, cheating, and stealing with one another is all part of the "you shall not lie," and then don't take from your neighbor and respect your parents, which the kids don't do no more, and all this other stuff. So yeah, all of that stuff is in there. So regardless of whether or not people admit it, we all have a religious background to the magnitude that when we get mad, when we get excited, when we're afraid for our safety, we always reach out to God. When we're in the midst of lustful activities, oh God, when we're about to fail, oh God, when we're about to die, oh God, when we're about to go to jail, oh God, when all of our money come up missing out of our bank account, oh God. So there's always a thing, whether you like it or not. The young kids rebel currently by following religions. But following religion, it is wild. Yes, it is. Because they're raised by millennials and young Gen Zs. Well, they're called Gen X's. Yeah, they got the Gen Alphas now. Oh, they started over the alphabet. Who are not really religious. They don't know what religion is, but it's a moral foundation of ethics and morals, which is a lot about what we're going to be talking about today. Is respecting yourself and respecting others so that you can be respected by others, because if you stand on non-negotiable expectations for behavior, you hold yourself to a higher level of performance, and then you expect others to perform on the same magnitude because you are providing that mutual respect to them. You expect them to provide you the same level of mutual respect. Michael says, not mine. I had to deliver papers on my bicycle on Sunday. Comics and the ads. Why do we believe in God? Where is the devil in the picture? Oh, the devil. Well, you gotta understand, depending on who reads the new commandments versus the old commandments. You got some people that claim that there's only one higher authority that's doing everything to you, and they test your loyalty by doing bad things to you. And then you've got some people who blame their failures in life on a negative higher power, and they blame all of their successes in life on a positive higher power, but they never take responsibility for anything that happens in their lives. So if they're successful, it's a blessing, and if they're a failure, it's a curse. Instead of them thinking that if they're successful, it's because of their effort, and if they're a failure, it's because they're fucking up. They don't do that. And it allows you to misdirect first person accountability, and by redirecting that first person accountability, they're able to absolve themselves of responsibility, which I think is really ridiculous. But back to today's main point. If you put water into a glass with a tiny little crack in it, you don't even have to see the crack. No matter how much you pour into that cup, no matter how often you pour into that cup will never be full. Okay? You'll just keep pouring, watching the level rise for a moment, and before it sinks again, you'll understand that it will be leaving you with an empty pitcher and the feeling of complete exhaustion trying to maintain the fulfillment of a cup with a hole in it. And this is exactly what it feels like to be in a relationship with an emotional vacuum. And that's the main topic of today's story today. But here on This and That, when we're talking about this, that, and everything in between, we talk about a lot of different topics throughout the show. But we eventually get back to the main point. That God created everything, therefore he created the devil. Well, yeah, and that also means that he created conflict in order to create celebration. You don't know that you got it good until you've had it bad. So the positives in life do not exist without the negative. So you have to appreciate the negative in order for you to be able to celebrate the positives. You learn from the negatives in order to prepare yourselves for more positives. Is it immoral to kiss my friend Robert? Nah, you kiss whoever you want to kiss, my guy. Always greener on the other side of the fence. I mean, I don't know, because In heaven, there's supposed to be so many clouds all over the place that you can't really see the grass. And in hell, the grass is on fire, from what I'm being told. So you can't see the grass there either. But it's going to be on the same side of each fence. So the chaos is chaos. He likes men after a few drinks. Didn't be his best friend. I used to have a homeboy that I used to go places with, and he liked guys, and I didn't care. I dated his best friend. She was straight. Oh, no problems. And he knew where the lines were. I had non-negotiable expectations for behavior even back then. The fact is that, like, look, you can have a pathological liar as a best friend. You can have a kleptomaniac as a best friend. Fact is that you set standards. They don't steal from you, and they don't lie to you when it counts. That way, you know where they are when times get tough. So when I had kleptomaniacs as friends, if I couldn't find my keys, I would search my friends. I had liars as friends. Whenever they tell me something, I believe the exact opposite of what they say. No questions asked, because I know that they lie all the time. You know what kind of people that you hang around you, but you are the product of the people the 5 people you spend the most time around. So if you have people around you that you would wish that they could do better in life, you need to realize that you yourself should be doing better in life. And you're not applying yourself to that. So think about that real quick. As long as there's 2 people on earth, there will be conflict. Oh, of course, because they will never agree. Uh, well, even men compete with one another, Rick, because if there's 2 men there, we're going to be fighting over the football team. We're going to be fighting over Super Bowl. Somebody cheated in dominoes. There's always conflict somewhere. Usually hang out with straight guys who have great respect for their boundaries, and they respect mine. That's good. As long as you guys respect each other, that's what counts. Now, back to the main topic. You will feel this constant drain, unheard and unseen feelings, additional to the pouring of your love into somebody else, your energy that you'll be investing into someone else, and the support that you will be investing into someone else, where your vulnerability in a partner would seem to be absorbed, and it would all feel like nothing would be returning to you. And this is going to be one of those situations like that guy that was on here a couple Sundays ago that was complaining about his girlfriend, bipolar, ADHD, schizophrenia, and all this other stuff. He went down a list of like, so she was supposed to be on a spectrum. And based on the way he described it, she was on the high end of the spectrum. And I was like, you chose that though for 2 years, and now you're complaining about it. I wouldn't have been able to put up with that for 2 weeks. But here's the thing though. He felt like he was emotionally investing into her, and she was not reciprocating, and that have him feeling emotionally drained. And when you're left feeling empty, unfulfilled, neglected, and profoundly alone, even when you're with your partner, they're sitting right next to you. This is a situation. Michael says, no, mixed martial arts says, I just want to live in the south of France and drink 10 to 15 alcoholic beverages a day, every day for the rest of my life. Is that too much to ask for? No, of course not. That's every man's dream. All you need is a nice little Asian woman that's going to give you a nice little back massage and rub your feet and, massage your scalp and cook you big meals like 4 times a day and take your dog for a walk. You don't got to pay for none of this stuff. Or, you made enough money where it can pay for itself. That's a fantastic dream to have. Your life sounds short but happy. Now, if you're tired of feeling emotionally exhausted, you got to ask yourself this. Do you find yourself constantly managing your partner's mood, walking on eggshells to avoid a shutdown or a blow up where they start lashing out on you, or questioning your own needs to just keep the peace? Those conflict avoidant people where you just do what your partner wants you to do or say what your partner wants you to say just to keep the peace, even if you don't agree with that. If you feel like you're screaming into a void and the only thing that comes back is the echo of your own fatigue? Well, if you're tired of being the only one pouring and you're ready to stop feeling so drained and finally break that cycle, then this podcast is for you. We are not going to talk about fixing your partner. I just want you guys to know that from the beginning of tonight's show, we are not trying to fix your partner. We are going to talk about reclaiming your power. So, I'm going to give you creative, actionable solutions that you can use to break free from these patterns and reclaim your happiness. And if you start doing it today, you start seeing some immediate results. The same way, if you follow my investment advice, you will start experiencing immediate cash dividends. Now, before we can plug that drain, we have to understand what it is. So, what exactly do I mean by an emotional vacuum? It's not what you think. It's important to know that this isn't a clinical diagnosis or an official psychological term. It's a metaphorical description that perfectly captures a dynamic where one person constantly gives emotional support while the other primarily takes, absorbs, or deflects it, creating a profound imbalance. Okay. And this isn't about your partner having a bad day or being a little distracted. It's a persistent soul wearying pattern. And it's a one-way street of emotional traffic on what should be a two-way highway. Special shout out to Horace. He said, hello, I have gained 100 pounds in the past 2 years. That's 50 pounds a year. You should probably change your diet. Um, if you get on the Subway diet with no bread, remove the starch out of your diet, remove unnecessary sugars, starches. Matter of fact, just go straight on a keto diet with high protein and then walk instead of using any kind of transportation. You'll lose that weight quick. I see the front door open. You should feed your girlfriend. I don't know. You need emotional help? Well, it depends. I know how to lose fat. Well, that's true. Sometimes people use eating as a catalyst to bypass their emotional discomfort. And the only thing I can tell, well, there's a lot of things I can tell you about that, but the one major thing that I will tell you about that is that first of all, you have to understand why you are sad, depressed, lonely, stuff to that effect. There are proactive ways that you can start occupying your own time and making time for yourself, valuing yourself. And here he says, well, you hate your life and you hate yourself. Well, that's understandable. Yeah, food is very comfortable. I find myself eating 6 to 8 times a day, but I'm only 165 pounds. So, and I've been this 165 pounds since I was 16. Okay. So that's about 25, 30 years now. We've been doing this for a while. But here's the thing. So I just don't know where to start in getting my life together. Well, the first thing you have to do is I've done a show about this, but the first thing you have to do to get your life together is you need to write down all the things that you don't like about your life. Period. Then write another list of all the things that you like about your life. And then you want to make sure that you appreciate all of the good things that you have about your life. And then on the bad things that you don't like about your life, determine which ones you can control versus the ones that you can't. Now, the ones that you can control, you proactively devise a plan to make changes on that. Depending on the difficulty of the change, because some things can be an instantaneous change. It might require a little practice in order to maintain stability on it. And some things might take time. For example, your eating habits might take time. The weight loss thing might take time. If you got some felonies, that might take time. If you're in between jobs, getting another job might take time. It depends on what it is. Then you'll be able to start working towards all of the things that you like about your life. Now, once you start reacting to all of the things that you want to change, that you're capable of changing, you can start celebrating those instant wins. He says 254 pounds, 5'10". Well, you can't change your height, but you can change your weight. So you can start with a gym membership, yoga, cardio, and changing how you eat and how frequent you eat, and that'll work. You want to eat twice a day, but you want to go towards low carbs, soups, salads, vegetables, and work on that weight loss. Go to the gym, exercise yourself so that you can shrink those muscles. Use the cocoa butter, stuff to that effect. It'll help you out, and ultimately you'll end up in a position where you will feel good about how you look, which would be one improvement. Do you know anything about? Yes, I do. I covered a whole show about that as well. That works. It helps with building testosterone. Now, back to the main topic. If you're in a situation where you're feeling like you're in an emotional vacuum, the first and most important thing that you need to hear is this: you are not crazy, and it is also not your fault. You are not alone in this, because a lot of us have things like Horace has, where you just don't like what's going on in your life. But acknowledgement is the first thing that you have to do. And when you acknowledge a problem, you're recognizing that these draining dynamics stem from your partner struggles, not your shortcomings. And your exhaustion isn't in overreaction, it's a legitimate biological and psychological response to an unstable or unsustainable situation. Now, feeling constantly tired or emotionally sapped, a persistent sense of loneliness, even when you're together, and the struggle to manage everyday responsibilities become an ongoing emotional stress and are really symptoms, really, really real symptoms. The chronic stress can lead to a loss of intimacy. So that's where erectile dysfunction comes from. Frequent arguments, high stress, and a reduced interest in spending time together, which damages the relationship, all while you question the future of your relationship. Your body and mind are sending you a clear signal. Okay. And you have to understand that something is fundamentally wrong in a relationship that needs to be addressed. So, what causes a person to become an emotional vacuum? It's really born from malice. More often, it stems from something deeper inside them. It's often a sign of profound emotional unavailability. So, extreme quantities of emotional unavailability, which can be rooted in past trauma, a fear of intimacy, or childhood emotional neglect. Some people learn from a very young age that emotions are dangerous, messy, or a source of pain, especially if you're getting it in your adulthood when you experience dating people that are emotionally abusive. From mental issues, it's not just mental issues, it can develop mental issues, but it also can stem from mental issues. It can also be hereditary characteristics uh, from your lineage. Not too many people know about that. You can inherit bad decision making skills and negative behavioral responses. Ah, this is true now. This is true. Their caregivers may have been unresponsive or dismissive of their feelings, teaching them to build a fortress around their heart and disconnect from their own emotional world. As adults, they may not have the tools to connect with their own feelings, let alone yours. They might not know how to offer empathy because no one has ever modeled it for them. They don't know how to be nice because no one's ever been nice to them. They're Scrooges all over the place. They're, special shout out to Karen. Um, pendulum swinging both ways. Yes, sir. Now, understanding this isn't about making excuses for their behavior. The impact on you is the same, regardless of their intent, but it is crucial for you and your ability to heal to depersonalize their actions from your experience. I really want you to hear this because their inability to connect is a reflection of their own internal struggle. It is not a reflection of your worthiness to be loved by them. Oh, he said, my dad used to brag about not having empathy. What? We was too busy getting ass, but we ain't had nothing. You see what I mean? Talking about some your dad used to brag about not having it. Man, we were so busy trying to hide from the belt. We didn't even know what empathy was. We just knew that if we could sit down and it not hurt, we was having a good day. But we was out there bad. We was like Bebe's kids and the Rugrats combined. We was out there doing something we ain't had no business doing. So I'm not gonna say we ain't deserved them ass whoopers. I'm just saying that we got them regularly, 4 or 5 times a week. It was like a full time job to get that behind whoop. Like I say, we learn to build an emotional wall around our hearts and souls. Therefore, we can't get hurt. And men do that a lot, specifically because while children, male and female alike, go through very crappy childhoods, a lot of the times due to poor decision making skills, as adults, men keep getting it as they get older. As women mature and become reasonably attractive and proactively interactive in the dating field, they get less of the scrutiny the more attractive they are. The men continue to receive this throughout their adulthood. So men build emotional walls around themselves. And then they have had it up for 10, 20, 30 years. They don't know how to take those walls down. And it takes a pretty significant scenario to break those walls down. But when those walls come down, it's like Katrina. It's just a flood of emotions start coming out, and the men don't know how to act. They ain't never had to manage their emotions before. They would ignore them, repress them. They would compartmentalize them like a bad ulcer and a fart, and just dismiss it. This is a thing. That's why I have zero close friends anymore. Mike. All relationships are surface level. Nah, I have one really close surface level relationship. It's not really, it is pretty deep because we go way back, but it went from us having a very deep, close connection to on the surface, we maintain communication with one another, but they don't really know all the ins and outs of my lifestyle the way they used to, and they don't really know all the ins and outs of my operation. But that's probably the closest person that I have in my life. I've got people that like I got family members that will live in a house with me and not know how I do business. Half the time, they don't even know where the fuck I'm at in the United States. Like I could be in a different state right now and nobody would know. They would just like notice he ain't been in the house all day. That's it. He been gone for a while. That's it. Being a male nurse and working with women daily, I know women. Yeah, yeah. Now, their distance does not mean that you are unlovable. Their silence does not mean that you are not worth listening to. And their emotional void does not mean that you are too much. It simply means that they are unable to meet you where you are emotionally. So, the danger of this dynamic is that it doesn't just drain you, it slowly erodes your sense of self. So, you start to believe the subtle messages you receive. And that uh, is going to be where you're going to feel inconvenienced. You're going to feel that you are a burden, that you are the one who's too sensitive. Okay. You're going to begin to shrink yourself, making your feelings smaller and smaller to fit into the limited emotional space that your partner provides. You stop sharing your wins because you don't want to be met with indifferent. You stop sharing your pain because you can't bear the hollow echo of "that's tough" before they change the subject, which is the same shit that I would do, because I by far will not be the one that come and tell you I'm sorry for what you're going through, because I didn't do it to you. If I am not the cause of it, I don't give a fuck what is going on with you. However, I understand that times do get tough and things are hard to swallow, things are hard to manage, and you have a heightened level of stress right now that you don't know how to deal with. And I am here for you for that part. However, this self silencing behavior becomes a habit. And over time, especially in long term relationships, you can lose touch with who you are and what you truly need. And this is the silent, insidious damage of the emotional vacuum. It doesn't just take your energy, it can take your very identity. And that's why breaking the cycle isn't just important, it's an act of survival. So recognizing you're in a relationship with an emotional vacuum can be tricky because the signs often start subtle and build over time. And if you get used to the subtle signs, you don't see it when it becomes a real problem. It's usually not a big dramatic event, but a slow creeping violation that you feel more alone with your partner than you do when you're by yourself. It's something that it just pops up out of nowhere. Sometimes flowers would be delivered to the nursing floor for some female nurses. So one day I sent flowers to myself from unknown girl. You're going to be, as a male nurse, you come to find out exactly how much men are forgotten, because the people send flowers to people that are dying. People send flowers to women for breathing, but nobody sends anything to a healthy man that's got nothing going on. If they buy you a beer, that is the best you'll get in life. So you got to follow Michael's advice. Always love yourself first before you love other people. Because I mean, if you're not fulfilling your own emotional well, how can you expect society to do the same? You won't have nothing to give back. Now let's break down the most common flags. And as I go through these, I want you guys to honestly get a gentle check of yourself and see if these scenarios feel familiar. Now I want you guys to make sure that you like and subscribe, and make sure that you hit these notification buttons as we go through the show, because if in the event that the shoe does fit, there's two things that you can do. You can either wear it with pride or follow along with some steps on how to change it. Because I've told you guys before and after every show that if there's anything about your life that you think sucks, then if it is inside of your control, you need to proactively put effort into changing it, no matter what it is. You have got to do something different than what you've been doing all of this time, because it is what it is. And that's how we've always done it, is how failure continues to happen. Self-fulfilling failure, the prophecy of dynamic failure, continues to happen. If things suck the way they are right now, try something else. The worst that can happen is that it sucks in a different way, but at least you tried something different. The best thing that can happen is that it gets better. And when, just like changing how you make money, if you're putting in too much work and not getting enough money, you change how you work to start bringing in more money, putting in less work, and you keep making changes wherever success is made so that you can keep maximizing successful results. Is it when you're not good in bed, not enough money? 3, you're with your friends and more than me. These are the top 3 things that women use to demasculate men. They'll make it seem like your junk is small, you're bad in bed, you're too broke, you spend too much time with your friends and your spouse. But what are the things that men say about women? Some men have complained about a girl's size when she gets too big or too small in comparison to where she was when they first met. The rest of the complaints from men are, you're no longer doing for me what you used to do for me. There, if you used to be small and you got big because you got a baby, they're gonna be like, man, I remember when you used to be smaller than that. But men never complain, she's not good in bed. Every female is like watching paint dry. Only time that you see women proactively throwing it back is like on adult content videos, like P Hub and OnlyFans. That's the only time that because in reality, they just lay there like watching paint dry, and then that's why guys are covered in sweat, back be hurting and shit. I don't know. Michael said no. Mixed martial arts says, do you guys see the RFK Jr. Plans in announcing the cause of autism in September? No, no, I didn't see that. And the reason why I didn't see that was because it is not an investment opportunity. I'm not going to turn a profit from it, and they will not be reimbursing me any money for anybody in my family that I might know that could potentially have autism. So if it's not a financial opportunity or a financial expense that I want to avoid, I typically don't follow it. But that doesn't mean that that's not valuable. Somebody might want to know about autism, where it came from, why there's an entire population of children with ADHD and ADD, generations of people. Almost every child has an attention deficit disorder, meaning that you don't pay attention long enough to learn something new. You know how we fixed that when we were younger? Parents slapped the taste out of our mouth, and after we finished picking our teeth up off the floor, we would focus. Just trying to say, if the women stays at home, home cleaning, kids clean, and the canoe clean at all times. Oh, of course. Do you have children? It is like 1 in 32 in Gen Zs. I mean, that makes sense. That makes sense. Now, first sign, let's get into these signs. The first sign is the empathy deficient. So remember, we talked at the beginning of the hour, we're talking about how people are complaining about the lack of empathy. This is the absolute cornerstone of emotional vacuum dynamics. So your partner consistently fails to understand, acknowledge, or validate your feelings. Now, ladies, I want y'all to pay attention because this happens on both sides of the fence. Women experience this more often than men when the successful man is ignoring her, whatever she's got going on, because he's only paying attention to his job. And vice versa, when the alpha boss ladies are out there making it do what it do, and the guy's like, oh, you're never home because she's got to work, bro. Let her go to work. It happens. It happens. There isn't a influx where women do it more or men do it more. This is seen on both sides of the fence. It is not just that they don't agree with you. It is that they seem incapable of even seeing things from your emotional perspective, leaving you emotionally unsupported when you need comfort. Now, this type of behavior, most guys are going to say that they experience this from one of those feminist campaigns where they're just like hating guys, and you're just in a situation where like shit just doesn't work. A lot of times their feelings are not justified from my experience. Well, I refuse to validate invalid emotions. Okay, so here's a good perspective. Now, I want to touch on that real quick before we keep going. What about somebody else's feelings are invalid? If let's say you're on a date with a chick and she's upset because you brought her to the Cheesecake Factory and that's not where she wanted to go. Now, I'm going to stand firm on my position from previous shows where I say that I'm going to take you where I'm going to take you since I'm paying for it. And if you don't like it, you ain't got to eat there. But that doesn't change the fact that perfect point. We're going to touch on that. But that doesn't change the fact that she's disappointed that she didn't go somewhere else. Now, the disappointment, the sadness is a valid feeling. The lashing out on me about that sadness, that emotional and psychological manipulation, that is unacceptable. So her feelings are valid. Her behavior about her feelings is inappropriate. You have to be able to understand the difference between the two. You are not dismissing her emotions. You're dismissing her negative behavior as a secondary reaction to her emotions. This is going to be some deep therapy, y'all. Just like when they say that sadness is, well, depression is sadness inward and rage is sadness expressed outward. It's a secondary emotion. First you feel sad, then you feel depressed. First you feel sad, then you get pissed off, right? Same thing with this. First, her feelings are hurt, and then she treats you like shit. You do not recognize being treated like shit. You do not recognize the psychological and emotional manipulation when she's not getting what she wants. So it is not her feelings and her emotions that you don't validate. It is the negative and inappropriate behavior that is the response of how she feels that you do not accept. Big difference. Because if she wasn't being an asshole about it, you might have would have reconsidered what you were doing and decided, you know what, maybe I can compromise and swing it your way this time. Like Michael said, she lost that day. And look, I ain't gonna lie. If you take them on a date, this is the truth. You cannot drop your date off in the middle of nowhere because that'll be legally considered kidnapping. However, if you bring them to a public place and the date don't work out, you don't gotta bring them back home. So if I was gonna go here, you don't gotta stay. You can get up and get you an Uber and take yourself back to the house, but I am eating here. I can enjoy the rest of the date by myself. There was more things I was going to do today. I specifically tell people that when you're going on a date, especially in the beginning of the relationship, you are not going on that date to impress the other person. You made plans with yourself and you invited an outsider to enjoy that time with you. If they go, they can have fun with you. If they don't go, you're going to have fun by yourself. So you're not trying to pick the type of events that is solely designed to make someone else happy, because who gives a fuck about that? You don't even know their last name yet. You want to go out there and enjoy yourself, hopefully with this person, so that you know that this person will maintain your happiness, because first person accountability, you have to be satisfied with the relationship you're about to put yourself in, and you have to be happy with the partner that you're choosing. And you cannot do that if you are only focusing on entertaining the other person, making sure that they are enthusiastic about your entertainment when they could give two shits about you. And a lot of people have turned that into a trained behavior where they will only go for the entertainment, where they're not interested in you, but because you're paying for it and it's something that they would not have otherwise done for themselves, they will go for the experience, not to get to know you, not to commit to you, but because they don't have to pay for it. It's like if your phone company gave you a free cruise, you'll go, but would you have gone to that cruise if it wasn't free? Hell no. Like I said, I've been there. She or he, not worth it. There are over 8 billion people on this planet, and there must be love. Yeah, you do right. I am homosexual. Michael is not. You gonna have to behave, Mix. You and the other guy. Y'all be sitting over here asking the kind of questions that be making me want to. I'm gonna end up making Michael an admin, and then y'all gonna be mad because Michael gonna kick y'all out. Hold on, matter of fact, let's see if that's an option. Let's see if to give Michael admin powers. Michael here every day of the week. I'm gonna see if I can give Michael some admin powers. So sometimes, if not during today's show, Michael, because you here all the time. If not on today's show, Michael, sometime this week, I'm gonna appoint you with some admin powers, Michael. You can control the live feed if you tired of the bullshit. You go to block everybody. Like nobody's talking on this podcast. God damn it. Oh, I'm gonna try to see if I can get in there real quick because I got like 32 browsers open. If I can get into the comment app because I don't mind people coming in and making comments. I don't mind people coming in and enjoying the show, but I do mind people messing up the show for everybody else who's trying to have a good time because they're being funny. You could be funny in an appropriate way. Let's see. There we go. Michael can manage and block words and change the chat modes in live. Let's see. Standard can review and remove chat messages. So there we go. We're gonna do this. So Michael's an admin now. Y'all gonna be afraid. Be very afraid. Because without warning, old school is gonna drop the slammer on y'all. Y'all gonna be like, oops, somebody got blocked. I ain't got no control over it right now because I'm running the thing. Is that I do me the personal attack? I know. Yeah, it is called a moderator. Look, y'all see it? It popped up. I should have done nothing. He's got that moderator logo on his name now, y'all. So he is the moderator, y'all. I'm gonna put it up there. I want y'all to see that. Y'all see that wrench right there? Y'all see that wrench right there? He's in control. So you can test it. Go scroll back up and find what's his name, Jorge or whatever, and block him. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is the conversation voids. And this is something that you experience this from both sides of the fence, but this is one of those things that comes from women more than it comes from men. It will come from men that are less emotionally mature, but you're going to see this more from you're gonna see it more from women than you're gonna see it from men because this is just a natural behavior pattern. So I want you to understand what this is. We're not taking shots at ladies. I just want y'all to know that, ladies, if y'all think about this, you might not have done this, but you might have seen your homegirl do this to her boyfriend once or twice, and you're gonna understand what I'm talking about. Now, there's meaningful conversations, right? That are the lifeblood of the intimacy in a relationship, and with an emotional vacuum, conversations often feel shallow and transactional. So you can talk about logistics or the weather, y'all can talk about bills and finance and stuff to that effect, but the moment you try to steer the conversation towards feelings, hopes, fears, or the state of the relationship itself, you hit a wall. Now, I just want y'all to understand that I've said this, and now that I've said this, I'm going to say, ladies, guys in the friend zone, you're going to be like, oh shit, I have done that before, right? A dude that really likes you, he was hoping that the relationship might progress. You don't want to talk about it. Y'all can talk about everything else, but you don't want to talk about that. You've got you're in a situationship. These Gen Z girls will know about this. Y'all in a situationship and the guy wants to put a title on it, but you don't feel comfortable with that. This is those scenarios. Now, ladies experience this too, because if you're the mistress and the guy doesn't want to officially acknowledge you as a girlfriend, not telling you about his wife on the side, guys do this too. But guys are going to more often than not experience this from girls. So this is one of those things, ladies, I want y'all to understand that this dynamic does cause problems in a real relationship. Okay. In these situations, people are unwilling or unable to engage in honest discussions about their emotions or their experiences. Okay. Now, sign number 3, this is going to be the conflict escape artist, which is conflict avoidant people. Disagreements are normal in a relationship, but with an emotional vacuum, conflict is something to be avoided at all costs. And ladies, you're going to experience this from men more often than men are going to experience this from women. When a difficult issue arises, they don't engage it, they escape. They leave, they go to the man cave, they go to the bar, they go hang out with their friends, they make up an excuse, they stay at work late, they leave for work early. This can be the silent treatment, physically walking out, or stonewalling, being physically present but emotionally gone. The issue never gets resolved, problems pile up, and the tension in a relationship grows. They go to the strip club, um, the gentleman's club, which is somewhat different. They call them, what do they call them? I can't think of the name of the place, because it's not like strip clubs where the women are walking around naked. It's like the other, like, gentlemen's club, like the bottle club or whatever, where the girls walk around topless or something, uh where they're not ever like completely naked, kind of thing. That play like a bikini bar, that's what it is, one of those. And they do that, and then they go and get their emotional validity from some other female somewhere. But the silent treatment comes from women more than it comes from men. Like, men walk out, men stonewall, men don't acknowledge. They just, I'll fix it. I'll take care of it. Don't worry about it. Just walk off and they just dismiss the whole thing and never fix it. Well, women, it's like if they're upset about something and they ain't trying to hear this, they're not going to acknowledge you until you fix the problem. And sometimes the problem is that they don't tell you what the problem is. And since you don't know what's wrong, she's just ignoring you until she forgets why she's ignoring you, or she wants something from you and now she's talking to you again. That doesn't resolve anything. Now, sign number 4, the one-way support street, which we talked about earlier in tonight's show. Now, this is perhaps the most draining aspect, because you are the other person's rock, their cheerleader, their emotional support, their regulator of their self-esteem. But what happens when you need support? The street becomes a dead end. They may be seen burdened by your needs or simply incapable of providing the support that you so freely give, resulting in your emotional exhaustion. And you're going to feel less like a partner and more like an unpaid emotional caregiver. Now, this is going to happen on both sides of the fence. Also, it's typically going to be in relationships where one person is more emotionally involved than the other, and no relationship is 100% 50-50. The relationships are usually either 60-40 or 70-30. The closest you might see is 55-45, but that's if they were like childhood friends or something like that. One person really loves the other person more, and the person who loves the prior person less might prioritize their work over their relationship. So you're going to see less emotional availability because they're emotionally involved in being successful in their jobs. Not because they're a toxic person or they don't like you or whatever the case may be. They just don't know how to put, they call them workaholics. They don't know how to prioritize their love. Now, they don't want you to go. They don't want you to feel unappreciated and unvalidated, but they don't know how to prioritize you over their workplace. And this is going to happen with alpha boss ladies. These are going to happen with Fortune 500 men. It's just a thing. Women do not worry about men's feelings. You're right. Or they would be happy going to Burger King. Truth. Okay. It is a man's job to prioritize a woman's feelings, but it is in our society not a woman's job to prioritize a man's feelings. A man is supposed to suck it up, take a salt tablet, get over his shit. The fact is, a man is supposed to know how to go to Chick-fil-A and get his girlfriend something to eat, but not a lot of women know what a man wants. Women know that they want steak and lobster when they go to the restaurants at the man's expense, but not a lot of women know what the man's favorite meal is for her to cook it at the house. And then some women are offended at the thought of cooking for a man at the house because that has been stigmatized as something oppressive to the modern free woman who is misrepresented as free from responsibility, because women's liberation was not to liberate women from responsibilities. It was to remove the restrictions from them being independent work women and caregivers of the house, because during women's liberation, men were dying in war and the wives were still at home. They had to take care of the kids and get a job in a society where women were not allowed to work. So if the man never came back and they no longer had a provider in the household, the women cannot stay in the house and just take care of the kids with no income. She has to be free to go to work to take care of the kids until he comes back. But that is being a support group. That is self-sufficient, not independent, because you're holding the fort down till your man come back. Independent is that there ain't nobody there. You doing it for yourself and you're sacrificing everybody else in your team so that you can be successful. You know, like John Wick. Everybody else around you dropping like flies, but you the last man standing, like The Rock. So you gotta understand, in a relationship where both of y'all working together, y'all are in a relationship where just as much as your man can go and get you your favorite meal or cook for you or whatever, you should be able to do the same for your man. But the responsibilities are still there. Women can be independent, but self-sufficiency, there is a reasonable level of codependency in every relationship. And that means that, ladies, y'all have to remember that you're prioritizing your partner while your partner is prioritizing you. If you feed your man is feeding you, y'all both eating. You don't got to worry about where your next meal is coming from, because he gonna bring you your plate, and he shouldn't have to worry about where your meal is coming from, because you're gonna bring him his plate. That's how y'all take care of one another. 10-10, all is well. Remember to like and subscribe. Yeah, we survived. I clicked that button like 8 times to keep it from killing us. The virus scan is still running though, bro. The virus scan is still running. It has not stopped. It's at 69% right now. That's a good number, but it has not stopped yet. So the deep scan for viruses has not stopped yet. And once I finish that deep scan, I might be able to dismiss whatever malware is on the computer that's causing that thing to flicker like that. So hopefully today's the last day that we experience it. Now, number 5. We're almost done. We're halfway through. You got like an hour and 45 minutes worth of show left, but we're halfway through. Now, you're too sensitive, and that's the defense. Okay? That you are too sensitive defense. I want y'all to pay attention to this one. This defensive mechanism usually recognizes man shaming. This is a subtle but powerful form of gaslighting, because when you finally gather the courage to express your hurt about their emotional distance, they flip the script. The problem isn't their behavior, it's your reaction to it. They might dismiss your feelings or accuse you of being overly sensitive, conditioning you into silence to prioritize their own comfort. That's a bad thing. And we've had a lot of times where if a man complains about what he doesn't like in a relationship, one or two things will happen. A woman will say something like, "You're not my dad. You can't tell me what to do," or "Man up, stop being a little baby, stop being a little bitch, stop acting like a girl," stuff like that. Don't get your tampon in the twist. Now challenging his masculinity, instead of recognizing that he's telling you that he is unhappy in a relationship at this point. Okay. Number 6, the burden of unspoken expectations. Now, your partner, ladies, y'all are gonna experience this. Your partner's expectations for you and the relationship may be completely unrealistic, or more likely completely uncommunicated. You're left in a state of constant stress, trying to guess what they want or need, and always feeling like you're falling short. This fosters a sense of anxiety and the feeling that you can never quite please them, because the goalposts are invisible and always moving. Now, men experience this from women a lot. When a woman says she's hungry and the man says, "What do you want?" and she says, "Whatever you want," and then he starts naming things and she starts shutting down every thought that he has. The fact is, if you don't know what you want, you get what I give you. If you know what you want, you tell me what it is, I take you where you want to go. But making me guess is not cute. It is completely unattractive. Most men do not like this. It frustrates them to high heaven. but this happens a lot. When ladies get into a relationship with a man, they need to know exactly what they're trying to accomplish in life. Make that clear at the beginning of the relationship so that that can be that man's goals if he so chooses to be in her life. Then it is her responsibility to update this list throughout the relationship so that he does not deviate from her goals. Likewise, he will have his list laid out towards the beginning of the relationship. And if she's going to stay with this man, she is going to prepare to fulfill those expectations. And he will update his list as often as she updates her list so that she is not deviating from his goals. Uniformity. Okay. But if you're in a relationship where you have never explained to your partner what you want or need or expect out of the relationship, and your partner is not doing what you expected them to do, and you are dissatisfied, and you are not telling your partner that you're dissatisfied, you're just stonewalling them, silent treatment, lashing out, upset, breakdowns, arguments. You are sabotaging your own relationship because you could fix this by telling them what they're doing wrong. If you guys remember when we used to go to school and we used to take tests, the teacher would tell you you failed the test, but don't tell you which problems you got wrong. You were mad not because you failed the test, but because you don't know why. You were more frustrated at not knowing what you did wrong than what you were at the fact that you didn't get a satisfactory grade. If you wrote a term paper and your teacher gave you an F on principle, not because you did it wrong, you followed the rubric 100% of the way. They just didn't like your topic, but they're not explaining to you what they expected from you before they gave you the assignment. These are the situations in relationships that the dynamic is the same. If you don't tell your partner what you're looking to get out of this relationship, you can waste your own time and you can sacrifice your own success. And of course, you could be choosing the wrong person because if that person cannot fulfill your expectations, you will forever be dissatisfied. Now, one thing that all of us do, men and women alike do this. If you experience the same negative experience for a long period of time, you end up chalking it up as all men or all women behave this way when that's not the truth. Now, the difference is that when women get tired of men, women start dating other women, and then those women realize that the man ain't the problem and they end up going back to dating the men. Men don't do that. Men just retire out of the dating field for a few years or a couple decades and then they get back into the dating field. Hopefully, you guys tried to work on yourselves. Michael says, I do. You pronounce you married. God have mercy on your soul. I have more red on my paper. I know, right? They be tearing up my paper. These days, the kids are able to use Chat GTP to write their term paper, so they should not have any negative marks on their term paper. Now, the next signal is the seventh one, which is the cycle of constant sacrifice. Now, when I talk about sacrifice, you men replace and women whine. That is true. That is completely true. This happens a lot. But I talked about sacrifice when you recognize that you don't have enough resources for the two of you and you put your partner first. The same way your partner recognizes that they don't have enough resources for the two of you and they put you first. If y'all need $10 and I put up 10 and you put up 5, we got 5 extra, right? And if I put up $10 and you ask me for 15 more, I'm doing too much. Think about it. I tell men on a regular basis, and ladies, y'all can follow the same method. If you give your partner $1,000 and they don't give you back $1,100, they are not worth your time. If you cannot profit off of investing in your relationship, then you are in the wrong relationship. Sacrifice equals control. Sacrificing yourself equals their control over you. He is correct. But genuine sacrifice does build loyalty. because actually most friendships are built on sacrifice. We met, one of us needed something, the other one expressed the effort to accomplish that, and then we developed a buddy. However, those are the types of relationships where our friends are always borrowing from us and we're not always borrowing back. Sometimes it's back and forward. When you need, I got you, and when I need, you got me. But that's a codependent friendship based on the lack of resources. Think about that. Now you're going to find yourself in this constant sacrifice, routinely putting your own needs, desires, and even your well being on the back burner to please your partner, or more often, to simply avoid tension. Now, this constant self sacrifice becomes a habit where your emotional reserve is depleted, not just by giving to them, but by taking away from yourself, because you're deliberately making a recognized sacrifice for the sake of someone else in an unnecessary fashion. Now, your life starts to revolve around accommodating their emotional limitations, leaving no room for your own fulfillment. Now, beyond the common red flags, there are more subtle behaviors that create a deep sense of psychological confusion. Because the first seven, we actually talked about those before, 3 weeks ago. But now we're going to get into some newer, more deeply compelling ones. And this is going to make it even harder to pinpoint why you feel so drained. So these are going to be the patterns of subtle sabotage that can keep you hooked in a cycle of hope and despair. Now, the first unorthodox sign is a push pull of love bombing. Now, we've experienced love bombing, and that one's easy to recognize after you have been in a relationship for a very long time. This is an incredible disorienting tactic that creates powerful mixed messages. The relationship likely begins with an overwhelming display of affection, which is identified as love bombing. And that is different from wearing your heart on your sleeve and being overly infatuated with the person in a genuine fashion, because love bombing only lasts for a few weeks. And then there's an argument. And then a couple of weeks, then another argument, and then a couple of weeks, then another argument. But genuinely, somebody loving you unconditionally from the first day, they will be head over heels after 30 days, 90 days. They're still consistent about it outside of when you deliberately do things to piss them off. So, ladies, I'm just going to be honest with you. Don't try to see what it's like to make your boyfriend mad. Don't do that. You're sabotaging your relationship by having unnecessary arguments. You want to treat arguments like bullets in a revolver. You do not want to fire that shot unnecessarily. You want to reserve it for a necessary situation, because there is no refill. Okay. Bible says in simple terms, your relationship is in trouble. You got to figure it out or get out. Well, you have to recognize that your relationship is in trouble first before you start trying to figure it out. And then you can start putting forth effort into trying to get out if the relationship isn't benefiting from you. If you recognize that your partner's not going to aid you in cooperation, or you're going to put in the improvement, but they're not going to aid in the improvement, then it's time for you to recognize it's time to go. Now, once you were committed in a relationship that is love bombing, that's when the switch is flipped to coldness and withdrawals, which is why shutting out your partner and ghosting your partner is not a good thing, because if you're mad at them, they can mistaken that as your love bombing behavior. This creates a powerful, addictive dynamic where you become desperate for the good old days, and they'll then give you just enough warmth and intimacy to keep you hoping before pulling away again, making it impossible to rely on emotional closeness. Now, you're going to know about this, and what some people do is they put more effort into trying to please the other person so that that person can start being the person that they were, knowing what they've missed. Now, what I've recommended, you got to pay attention to what they're doing. How often have they behaved a certain way? They'll, oh yeah, I cook for you, I clean for you. But when you think back, bitch only cooked one time in the last like 9 months. It's like, what you mean? You make it seem like you do my laundry every day. Like the last time you saw the laundry room was Christmas. We're walking up on Halloween. You got to really think about these things. Some people are going to use this, they're going to belittle you about some, all it takes is an excuse, is that you screwed up some kind of way, and they'll hold it over your head for months. So the excuse is going to be that their negative behavior is because you did something wrong many, many moons ago. A healthy relationship recognizes that a mistake has been made. The resolution of that mistake is that after we've recognized it, we've proactively decided what we're going to do to prevent it from happening again. And beyond that point, it is my responsibility and your responsibility to not intentionally repeat past behaviors. From that point, it is forgive, not forget. So if you're in a relationship where your partner is throwing it in your face a month later, 3 months later, about anything that they were once pissed off about way back when, you're not in a healthy relationship. Everyone that is young is hormonal, of course, but they can be hormonal and appropriate. Now, unorthodox sign number 2, the secret emotional life. This is particularly painful one. Your partner may be incompatible or incapable of being emotionally intimate with you, but you discover that they're forming deep, emotionally intimate connections with others, whether it's on social media, whether they have work husbands, Starbucks boyfriends, FedEx hubby guy, whatever the case may be. They're able to establish new, deep emotional connections with other people while in a relationship with you and not reciprocating your emotional advances. This is often called emotional cheating. Now, in modern society, men and women alike have zero tolerance for physical cheating, but a lot of excuses come from women who have emotionally cheated. And I don't understand the dynamic. Oh, that's the other part of it, though, Michael. When they start establishing too deep of an emotional bond with other individuals before they start getting physical with the other individual, they start pushing you away, which then draws a wedge in your relationship while they're getting closer to someone else. You have to understand that you can be in love with 150 people over a course of a lifetime, which is 2 to 3 people a year. But you can only be deeply in love with one person at a time while you have a brotherly love, family love kind of situation, a post love kind of situation where you love everyone else less than this one person. So if the person that is the apple of your eye right now, the new love, is not the person that you have the loyalty love with, the wife or the husband, that person can genuinely tell that you are pushing them away. They don't know why a lot of the time, but they can tell that your attention is somewhere else. Don't get caught with girls' phone numbers in your phone. If you're smart, Domino's, Papa John's, CC's Pizza. You got 2 numbers. The landline and the fax line. The fax line is why you got the fax number for Domino's Pizza? Because that ain't Domino's. But the one of the things that I say, because you know that if you get caught with other people's phone numbers in your phone because your partner's going through your phone, and I tell people all the time, if you're in a relationship where your man or your woman is behaving different, that is all the evidence that you need to remove yourself from the relationship or address the distance. If you have a lack of trust in your relationship, that's all the information that you need to either abandon a relationship or address the situation. If you feel like you have to go through your partner's phone and search their emails for evidence that they are not honest with you, the relationship is over. When you start looking for incriminating evidence, if the relationship is not destroyed because of what you found, it is destroyed because of what you did. So it is a TKO behavior. and there is no recovering from it, because you will lose trust in your partner if you find something to hang over their head, and they will lose trust and confidence in you because you went looking for it. There is no win there. You are only looking for validation and confirmation so that you have an excuse to walk out of the relationship. If you don't want to leave this relationship, I forgot the name of that song, but what the guy said, uh, please don't let it show. If you cheating on me, I don't want to know. Keep it to yourself. Keep it on the low. I don't know all the lyrics to the song, but your boy made it clear, because he doesn't want out of this relationship. If you're cheating, don't make it obvious. Don't tell me about it. Don't let me find out about it. And anybody who wants to stay in their relationship needs that mentality. If you want to destroy your relationship, you want to find that infidelity, you want to find that dishonesty, you want to find that lack of trust and confidence in your partner, because that is going to be the experience, that excuse that you're going to have, that's going to allow you to leave the relationship. So like I said, if you got to go through your partner's phone, what he said, and the trust is built with time. All that trust is gone. Years and years of trust is gone because you went looking through that damn phone. If you ain't looking for no trouble, don't ask for it. It's like this. If you wanted to lose your life, you walk into a police station and point a gun at the first cop you see, you're not making it out the building alive, right? You want to destroy your relationship? Go through that man's DMs. That's it. Same thing for men. Guys, if you want to destroy your relationship, go through that girl's DMs. Because in those comment sections on their social media platform, the conversations that they have with people are not appropriate. And they save these conversations, which is irony, because this inappropriate conversation is on their social media platform for months and years at a time, where on their cell phone the text messages are deleted, and unless you got an iPhone you can undelete them. But the fact is that on a social media platform, they not deleting posts, they not deleting DMs, they not deleting somebody hit them up and they be like, yo, send me your name as Robert and I'm just gonna plug it in my phone and we can WhatsApp. They don't do that. Y'all, they just keep on the Snap, they keep on the IG, they keep on the TikTok, and they just keep on the Facebook, and they just keep doing what they're doing. Then when you go through there and you start reading all the messages, that's why you find 6 months worth of conversation, because they wasn't planning on you going to find that. Divorce court, when there's divorce sales. He know that he gonna go and get that estate. They gonna sell all their shit. It ain't gonna be like Medea where she take the chainsaw and cut stuff in half and be like, this my half and that's your half. No, they gonna put your stuff up for sale. So the whole life is destroyed. If you don't want to destroy your relationship, don't go looking for nothing in nobody else's phone. Now, with this emotional cheating, they might share their deepest fears and dreams with a coworker or an online friend, where they won't do that with you. And the very things that you've been begging to hear from them, you might hear it from their friend's friend, but you won't hear it from them. This proves that they're capable of the emotional connection, just not with you, which means that you're not on the same emotional level as the person that they're confiding in. And this is going to leave you with the brutal truth that you are being actively excluded out of their life. Now, there's another unorthodox sign. This is the third sign, the chronic zone out. This is a habitual shutdown that occurs during conversations that requires emotional presence. You'll be in the middle of sharing something important and you'll see their eyes glaze over. They are looking at you, but they are not there. This is a form of disassociation, a passive shutdown to avoid feeling overwhelmed. They might even appear to fall asleep. The constant experience of talking to someone who has mentally left the building is profoundly invalidating. Now, on unorthodox sign number 4, The fortress of solitude. Independence is healthy, but an emotional vacuum often takes it to an extra extreme, building this way overly expressed fortress of solitude. They have their own hobbies, their own friends, and a schedule, and these are fiercely protected and prioritized over shared time with you. So they're going to go hang out with their homies, but you can't go. They have hobbies that they put their time and effort into, but you can't enjoy those hobbies with them. They have things that they're going to do that they're not going to tell you about, and they will be back, and you need to stop complaining about it because they claim that they're not cheating. Their extreme preference for solitude, or some situations, work, means that any time together feels limited or forced. You end up feeling like a visitor in their world rather than a cohabitant. Now, the unorthodox sign number 5, 75% of the way there, the weaponization of humor. Now, we talked about this a lot last week and the week before. Humor can be a wonderful tool, but for an emotional vacuum, it's often a weapon used to deflect vulnerability and ridicule emotions. So whenever you try to share something uh, heartfelt, they use a joke or a sarcastic comment to derail the conversation. This tactic, often followed by "I was just kidding" comments, shuts down any path to genuine intimacy, teaching you that vulnerability will be met with mockery. Michael says, I was being groped today at Walmart by two elderly women. It must be the smile. Man, if I was, they better have had some icy hot or something like that. You come groping me, you better massage my back because my back hurt. I'm too old for this bullshit. You coming over here just copper feeling in ways that ain't beneficial for me. That is not gonna work. I'm gonna complain about that because you need to go up and over to the left where that knot is right up underneath my shoulder blade and go grope over there for a little bit so that I can get some relief real quick. Y'all, these old females that just be sitting over here, tasty. Yes, you better learn some acupuncture because I got some inflation going on. We got some aches and pains over here, man. It's getting cold right now. Sheesh. I ain't saying that it don't feel good to be acknowledged from time to time. By all means, acknowledge me. But can you acknowledge me with a shoulder massage or something? Take the tension out of my traps or something. Like help a brother out. I'm just trying. I don't know. Hey man, life is good when you're 70. Hopefully in 40 years when I get there, I'll get twice as much. Now, the unorthodox sign number 6 is the social vacuum. Now, you're going to notice this one is going to occur when your partner has few or no close friends and rarely forms new, meaningful connections. Now, this situation isn't just about being an introvert; it's a broader inability to maintain the give and take required of social bounds. Now, this creates a social and emotional vacuum within the relationship itself, placing even more pressure on you to be their sole source of interaction and support. Now, the other issue is that in a relationship where the standard is that you're not supposed to have unnecessary socialization with other people, especially the opposite sex. If you're dating a person that is overly introverted, where they don't socialize with anyone by nature, and you are a social butterfly, that puts a heightened burden on you to avoid contact with other people, which isn't good for you because you need to get out there and mingle. Michael says that story was the hot tub at Ocean Shores with two other ladies. Man, If I could get myself out there to ocean shores, they would be loving it. They'd be like, look at this young buck. Because as much as they be, we call them cougars, right? As much as they be downing guys for dating younger women, older women like younger guys. So 60-year-old cougars would be coming over here taking their dentures out, like, come here, whippersnapper. Let me show you how we used to do it back in the 40s. Trying to tell y'all. Okay, so this is the most important part because we've defined the problems and explored the signs. Now, what do we do about it? If you guys are still watching, I want to make sure that if you haven't done so already, make sure that you take some time to like and subscribe and hit that notification button when you get time. The key insight here is that you can't force another person to change, and breaking the cycle isn't about fixing them. It's about reclaiming your own energy and power. So here are 6 creative, actionable solutions that you can start using today. Communication will be in the list somewhere because communication in a relationship is huge. It is huge, but it is not the only way because communication allows for you to vocalize to your partner discontent and concerns. But actionable recovery from the discontent and concern is going to require action and effort in addition to communication. So, first solution, we're going to be conducting a radical emergency energy audit and stop monitoring their emotions. Oh, yeah, it's going to take time, but so does the rest of your life. The rest of your life is going to take time. And if y'all going to spend it together, you got all the time in the world to fix this, but you need to start working on it now. So, your first radical step is to consciously stop trying to gauge their mood. I don't give a fuck how you feel. I care about you and I care about your feelings, but I am not going to sit here and gauge your smiley face from 1 to 10 because bitches love smiley faces. But if you getting bitchy today, you better grab a Snickers out the freezer because I ain't got time for that. This is called monitoring, and it consumes immense energy from the person doing the monitoring. You cut that bullshit out. Your new job isn't monitoring them, it is to monitor yourself. I call this an energy audit. He said, nope, time is running out. Better to do it now. Exactly. You need to start it right away. You should have started this shit last week when we were talking about this. But if you didn't, now's the time. Every time you feel the urge to check in on their mood, pause, stop, pivot, retreat. Turn your attention inward and ask, what am I feeling? What do I need? I know it sounds a little bit selfish, but if you don't pay attention to yourself, who is going to pay attention to you? He said, I got 41,231 hours left. Man, you got the unlimited night and weekend minutes. What you talking about, bro? You can stretch that. Now, if you ask yourself these questions, this disrupts the pattern and helps you reconnect with yourself. The second solution is it's going to be introducing a pattern interrupting scenario with emotional rituals. So you want to introduce pattern interrupts with emotional rituals. I know that sounded a little bit complicated, but let me explain it to you. You can't force a deep, spontaneous emotional conversation. Instead, he said, assuming I live to 80. Well, the average lifespan these days is about 84-ish. So you would have to add 5 more years to your understanding because you say that you've got at 70, you say that you got about 10 years left, but technically you got about 15 unless you're not living healthy. You hurt my feelings. Well, in that case, introduce a structured, predictable, and low stakes emotional ritual to normalize sharing. You see what I did there, right? He said you hurt my feelings. I changed the subject. Because what am I going to say? Here's one thing that I'm going to side note on and tell you guys real quick. We need to make it a habit of not falsely apologizing for things that we're genuinely not sorry for. If you said what you said on purpose, if you did what you did on purpose, if you made an unintentional mistake and the outcome was based off of a decision that you chose to make, because a mistake is that I thought I was going to do this and be successful, but I'm not successful. That's a mistake. An accident is me not trying to do that and something bad happened and I wasn't intending on that outcome. But at no point is an apology necessary. An apology is dropping a plate and breaking it. An apology is crashing your partner's car. An apology is the dropping the ladder through the window in the living room. But saying something that hurt your feelings, when I meant what I said, you got to think about what you're genuinely sorry for. Are you sorry because of what you said, or are you truly, genuinely apologetic about how it impacted the other person? When you do things that you know will hurt your partner, and because you're not going to get caught, or you thought you weren't going to get caught, you perform the action anyway. Then when your partner finds out about it and your partner is genuinely devastated about it, you apologize as a reaction to getting caught for performing the action, not because you're sorry about what you did. Because if you regret, if you were in the moment performing the action, you should have recognized at some point your guilty conscience will kick in and it'll stop. So it might have started with a kiss, y'all might have been romping around, but before your zipper comes down, this is wrong, I gotta go. You can't tell me that y'all was grinding them gears for 2 or 3 hours for the last 6 months and that wasn't intentional. So you're not apologizing for intentional things. Because and I want you guys to understand this, because Michael says stop stop changing the subject and look at me. I'll let that up there for a minute. You told me we were getting in apartments, living with your folks. It would be helpful if you got a job. I'm pregnant. Oh man, if that conversation is happening, he should have 2 jobs. Oh my God. Could you imagine the guy saying that to the girl? You know how she would react with that? Guys can't get pregnant. I'm pregnant with your puppy. Oh, but look, you want to, if you're going to apologize for something, you need to genuinely apologize for the things that you're truly apologetic for, and you're only apologetic for the things that you will change. So you don't apologize for smoking in the car because you're going to smoke in the car again. You don't apologize for smoking weed, you're going to smoke weed again. You don't apologize for what you did with the mistress because you're going back there next week. You don't apologize. You see what I'm saying? If you Apologies are supposed to be like the communion at church. When you decide to stop fucking up, you apologize, you repent, and then you cut that shit out and you stop doing it. If you're gonna do it again, don't apologize for it. Because why are you gonna tell me I'm sorry today and do it next week? Do it in 3 days. Don't apologize for it. Because the first time was an accident. The first time might have been a mistake. The second time is deliberate. You know how they say, fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice, shame on you, or vice versa, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. Either way, one of them 2 times was my fault. So He said, just don't get caught. It ain't about that. It's about recognizing that you stand on principle. If you went to have an affair knowing that you were on your way to an affair, why are you apologizing for the affair? If they catch you, you acknowledge the fact that you were in an affair. Now, a lot of women are going to say that's heartless and cruel. But ladies, if you're the person caught in the affair, same dynamic still stands. You knew what you were doing. You understood that it was wrong. You knew that it would destroy your relationship. You were okay with it when you performed the actions. But now you are in a situation where you have to proactively take responsibility for your actions. I'm sorry, it's not going to cut it. Your partner is not going to want to hear that. That is the worst thing to say when you get caught up is I'm sorry. Because you're only apologizing for getting caught. You're not apologizing for doing something for the you're not putting a stop to the behavior. I'm sorry you feel that way, but I meant to do that. Now, instead, introduce a structure, like I said, a predictable, low stakes emotional ritual to normalize sharing. Now, you can propose a weekly weather report where you each take 3 minutes to share your emotional highs and lows with no discussions or fixing it. So I was feeling good this week until such and such happened. Then I started feeling bad. I was feeling bad this week until such and such happened. And now I started feeling good. That's it. That's it. Or you can try a journal exchange where you guys every week write in your journal about what's going on in life. And then y'all exchange journals. And y'all can write in each other's journals. These rituals create a tiny, safe container where connection can begin to feel less threatening. You're going to filter what you're saying since you know that you're going to give it to your partner, but you can still genuinely say what you felt in the moment when you were upset or sad or whatever. Now, he said, you can say anything you like at any time. No, you cannot. There is a time and a place for everything. You are not supposed to say anything negative about your relationship in public. You should keep any concerns, any performance reviews, any constructive criticism about your relationship at the house. People with children have neighbors that have children. When you are going to talk about your relationship with your romantic partner, that is the day that your kids spend the night by somebody else's house so that your kids don't hear you talking about what's going on. If you got to hire a babysitter so that you can have a family meeting without the kids, because you're talking about how the adults are going to work together as adults, these are the things that need to be done. You do not just blurt out your discontent, because you can devalue your entire relationship in the public eye by vocalizing your discontent at the wrong time. You have the right to speak about it, but you have to choose an appropriate time to speak about it. And if you structuralize transparency zones where there is no judgment, no ridicule, no resentment, no retaliation in this moment, you can say, I'm good with it. Plain and simple. Now, I've told ladies a lot of times, if you're building a relationship on full transparency, you are putting yourself in a very, very compromising situation, specifically because, just like a Catholic priest, your husband can come and talk to you about every person that he cheated on you with, and you're supposed to accept that because in full transparency zones, you are not supposed to judge him, ridicule him, treat him different in any way, shape, or form, or retaliate in order for you to maintain that level of transparency. Everything that he wants to say, he's got the freedom to say it, and you will do nothing negative about it. Now, where there's secrets, where there's abilities to withhold information, where there's a lack of transparency, those are the areas of relationships where if you found out inadvertently, you have the freedom to get pissed off. But just like parents do the same thing with their children, you can tell me anything If my child comes to me and tells me that they screwed up, I am not supposed to get mad at them. I am supposed to help them get through it. Michael says to bottle up your emotions is not healthy. Yes, I agree. Most relationships problems are shallow and just saying something and dropping the issue. Well, the majority of relationship conflicts, the most devastating conflicts, are the most shallow ones. They are not arguing because there is a genuine problem. They are arguing because they want to be heard. And this is the catalyst to being heard. A lot of the times when a man is arguing with the woman, it is because there's something that she wants him to understand or take in, and he does not hear it or see it. So an argument breaks out about something like not filling up the sugar jar, and that is not the problem. Somewhere down the line, she's going to explain to you that she is hurt and she's feeling unseen, unappreciated, and unvalued, undervalidated, and it all came out because the sugar jar is empty. But you are sitting here like, well, fuck, I'll buy 8 sugar jars and fill all the sugar jars so that we never out of sugar. The sugar jar being empty was never the problem. The sugar jar was the catalyst to express the problem. And that's something that we don't think about as men. We fail because I tell women all the time, men are inconsiderate and women are selfish. So we never thought about that. She knew and didn't say anything about it. There's a difference. If your partner and you are playing on some sheets in time, just that look, you will know. Oh yeah, if y'all have the y'all sometimes y'all can look at one another and y'all can just tell when stuff is not going the way it's supposed to go. Michael says, what are we arguing about? Sugar jar. What's the real problem? No, the sugar jar. Men are logical and women are emotional. That's exactly true. Men are logical, but the issue is that because men are logical, men rationalize the pros and cons of everything that's going on around the relationship, and they forget the little things that are the most meaningful to her because it plays on her emotions. Women are emotional, so they do not react logically. So it doesn't make sense that she said no when she meant yes. She said don't worry about it when she wanted you to worry about it. She dismissed it when she wanted you to prioritize it because she wants you to show her that you know what you're doing, even though you don't know what you're doing. She's not helping you learn what she wants you to do. She just expects you to already know how to do it. Now, vice versa, in relationships, men specifically are clear about what they expect their woman to do, and women don't want to be told what to do. They just want to do what they think is best. Now, women do not know men, and men do not know women. So it is better for women to ask before they fuck it up. Because while it's the thought that counts, your effort that went into it feels unvalidated if they're not satisfied with the outcome. And that works on both sides. You don't like me anymore since the baby came. That does come out. That does come out. There's not much you can do about that because I mean you can only go to the gym and work on your thighs for so long before you start getting muscle spasms. You could ask them to put a few extra stitches in there after the baby is born just to bring it back to its original shape or better. But you're also going to understand that after a number of children, there is no traction there. That doesn't stop you from trying. Like it says, I know women, meow, hiss. Ah. Now, solution number 3. We're going to get through a few of these. Reframe their withdrawals as your withdrawing time, your recharging time. So, one of the most painful moments is when your partner withdraws. They shut down, they walk away. The husband not. Yes. They give you the cold shoulder. They're ignoring you. They're not providing you with the validation that you need at this time. You're exhausted. Y'all just got out of an argument, and it's just not going the way you wanted it to go. Your conditioned response is likely rejection and panic when they shut down on you. Here's a powerful mental shift. The next time that they withdraw, silently say to yourself, this is a gift of time for me. This is my cue to recharge. So if my girl come to me with that pouty face and hit me with the I'm not talking to you, okay, then I'm going out. Or I'm going to go play GTA 6. Or this is a perfect time for me to go take a nap. Okay? Instead of pursuing them, trying to force them to interact with you or something to that effect, getting up and doing something that fulfills your cup is the most effective way to do it. You transform a moment of pain into a moment of personal power. It just finished. Oh, they ain't shit. It not only did it finish, it also said that there are no threats found. So what the heck keeps cutting off my what you call it? It's no, I don't need that. I got rid of all the quarantine scans. I don't know. I don't know. We're gonna figure it out. Something keeps cutting off. Go for a walk, go cut the grass, go clean something, organize the garage, find something to do. Go to an estate sale, buy some shit, update your social media platform, whatever you're gonna do. Do something that can make you some money. That's what you need to do. Plan your vacation. You can do that now. A lot of times men do that. They will plan a 5-day spa vacation for their wife. Why? Because it gets her out of the house. He not going. She's gonna go with her homegirls. Now, if y'all got couple friends, all the men might get together and send all their wives on a group trip away from them. You know what them men gonna do while the women is gone? Sleep. Grab a beer, watch a game, go to bed, sleep. It's a vacation for him more than it is a vacation for her. Ooh, it's a spa. My man love me. And he's thinking, oh, she gone. Finally, I can rest. I want y'all to understand now. There's a dynamic to this. Do something positive. Go camping with the fellas. Take the kids somewhere. Look, if y'all got children, when your wife fire off on you and she start giving you the cold shoulder, you ain't got to take that. You can grab all the children in the house and the dog and take your behind to Chuck E. Cheese and go have fun with the kids and let her stay at home and sleep. Because if she slept, she might not be so damn angry. Sometimes they just burnt out and they just want you to acknowledge that. Now, solution number 4, practice radical transparency with a powerful speech. Not that Martin Luther King speech, I had a dream that if my partner was more responsible, that I wouldn't be going through this shit. That's not what we're talking about. At some point, you must communicate, like Michael said, your needs and set emotional non-negotiable expectations for behavior, but in a way that minimizes blame and fosters honesty. So you're not going to point the finger at the other person, explaining to them, he's sick, go camping and bring a shovel. No, you're supposed to go fishing and come back with less people than what you went out to sea with. Man, overboard. So you're not pointing fingers. You're not talking to your partner about, oh, well, when you did this, or you did that, or you did the other. Your statements are going to be, when I experienced this situation, I felt like, and we're about to get into some of these. That way they know that the moment happened and that negatively impacted you. So you want to use the power speech during a peaceful time, not during an argument. And it's got to be based on I statements. I feel, whatever your emotion is, when a specific behavior happened, when a specific action happened, the lack of action. And what I need is whatever your specific actionable requests are. And then it sounds like I feel lonely when the conversation quickly moves on from my stressful day. And what I need is for you to just say, that sounds so hard. I'm sharing this because I want to feel closer to you. Now, doing this, you're giving them a clear blueprint for how to love you better. This is, I'm, he said, no, 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 it's her fault. We're going to high five on that now. We're going to high five on that. But this is how you express yourselves with your partner, because if you don't declare that there is a problem and declare the solution, the situation will never be addressed. If you only point out a problem, you are leaving the door open for a bunch of problems to be on the table, but there will be no solution. If everybody acknowledges there's a problem, but nobody does anything about it, now we have a new problem on the table. The new problem on the table is there's all these problems on the table and nobody's fixing the problems. All of that leads to a breakup. You don't want to do that. You want to point out when there is a problem. Just like when you don't like Ed for being too nice to you in the break room and you go talk to HR. If you don't like what's going on in the relationship, you got to go talk to HR. Because if this doesn't get worked out, somebody's getting a pink slip with no benefits, no severance pay, no alimony. You got to understand. Solution number 5. Oh, hold on. He said, but in reality, it's usually your fault. Doesn't matter who's really at fault. Well, the thing is that fault and blame in relationships is a misconception. I either did that on purpose or I didn't mean for that outcome to occur. Well, no, I did it on purpose. I chose to do that action. I was prepared for a different result. And the result that I got is not what I was expecting. Okay. Now, I know that sounds like I said it twice, but you got to understand this. When it comes to fault and blame, it is not specifically my fault that you are not satisfied with the outcome. Okay. It is my understanding that you are not satisfied with the outcome. It is my responsibility to make sure that the outcome is satisfactory for the both of us. So it is not my fault that it is not what we wanted. It is my failure to achieve the unified, successful outcome. Ultimately, the problem is the situation didn't go the way we wanted it to go. So let's say, for example, I've used this example plenty of times before. You guys have a car, the fuel light's broken, and only one of you puts gas in the car, but both of you uses the car. One day, the car doesn't have enough gas in it for you to go to work. Whose fault is it? The owner of the car, the person who uses it the most? Both people know that the fuel gauge is broken, but both people don't contribute to the gas. So is it the person who failed to fix the car or the person who doesn't top the tank off? The problem is that the fuel light is broken, so nobody knows how much gas is in the car. So you have to fix that problem first. The second problem is that there isn't enough gas going into the car based on the quantity of usage. The second solution to that problem is, after we fix the fuel gauge, we need to make it a habit to top the car off on our way home, because some people like to put gas in the car on their way out, and some people like to put gas in the car on their way back. If the person who puts the gas in the car on their way out is leaving with a full tank of gas, they will bring the car back with less gas. The person who is bringing the car back and putting gas in it on their way back in will leave with the car with whatever gas is in it. And if that's not enough gas to get them to their destination, they have to stop and fill the tank up. And if it always falls on the same person, that first person is going to feel mistreated because they're always topping off the gas tank. So the resolution of this situation is we fix the fuel tank so that that's not an issue. We always know how much gas is in the car. and then we both practice topping the car off on our way back. Simple as that. And you can have a secondary catalyst where you keep a gas can with a little bit of gas in the trunk. You can have gas cans at the house. That if you don't want to have gas cans in your trunk, you can have gas cans at the house. Where if in the event that you run out of gas, the tank is low, you can top the car off at the house and make sure that there's gas in the car so that you can go do what you got to do and then fill the car up on your way back. There are other options, but the fact is that it's not really any one specific person's fault. It is a failure to achieve a common goal. Uh, who's even driving it at the time? Both people, because if you have one car and two adults and everybody's got a driver's license, both people are driving the car. So whose expectations are hurt? Usually the person who complains about it first is the person that's feeling the most hurt. If she runs out of gas, she better know how to play down and use her ass. That's what happened to me earlier today. One of them, it wasn't even cute. I just did it because it was on the side of the road. This is the fact that I've had people where I ran out of gas and they topped me off. So it's just like, pay it forward. Now, here's another thing. We're going to have solution number 5. We're running towards the end of the scenario here. Fill your own cup up and encourage a third-party connection. Now, a core reason that you feel drained is making the relationship the sole source of your well-being. So the solution here is to decentralize the emotional load. First, focus on self-care. Cultivate sources of joy and support outside of your relationship that is probably off of the video game console or off the social media platforms. Not necessarily a threesome, but that could give you a lot more extra effort, a lot of cardio, some rock hard abs, and a lot more headaches. Just gonna be honest with you. You can add more friends, more hobbies, professional therapy, whatever you want to do. Make yourself in your life so rich that your partner's availability becomes a nice thing to have, not a need to survive. Second, encourage your partner to develop their own healthy friendships, platonic ones. This reduces the pressure of all emotional needs to be met within the partnership. Now, building a healthy ecosystem for both of you is the ultimate goal. The next step, solution number 6, is using humor to invite, not to hurt. And this is going to take a lot of practice from some people. If your partner uses humor to deflect, you can try to reclaim it as a tool for connection. Set a clear, non-negotiable expectation. For humor that mocks or dismisses feels if it's dismissing your feelings, it isn't acceptable. So your expectation here is that you're not going to want to tolerate the mocking of feelings. He says, whatever you do, you'll figure it out. However you got yourself into it, you'll figure out how to get yourself out of it. I'll be here when you get back. But you can also introduce positive humor to erase the negative humor and to ease into emotional topics. So you might say something like, okay, prepare yourself. I'm about to have a feeling for 2 minutes. Don't panic. Now, this can sometimes disarm their defensiveness and create a small opening for vulnerability, but only if it's met with respect, not ridicule. So in that situation, you can make it seem like you're about to unload an extreme emotional breakdown and then slide in with lightness. I felt bad that Garfield didn't get his lasagna on Monday. But it prepares your partner for lighthearted emotional validation, which allows them to be open to what you might say next. So now they're all ears. And these strategies are going to be powerful. because they require a strong sense of self and a very clear, non negotiable expectation for behavior. If any of the information that we have been going over today is hitting home, and you guys want to go deeper into it, the practical steps that we're going to be going through for the rest of the week as well of building the emotional fortress around yourself, you've got to understand that we've got a way to get this done. The art of healthy non-negotiable expectations is going to be something that we're going to be going over pretty soon. And we're going to be talking about different scripts and exercises and insights on how to help you project your energy and communicate your needs in a positive fashion without devaluing your relationship or devaluing your partner. So, this is going to be a powerful next step for us. We're going to be covering that in the next week or so. And this will help you also aid with reclaiming yourself and your identity, your autonomy, and your relationship. Now, today, we've looked at the drain dynamic of being with an emotional vacuum. We've talked about what it is, the signs, and most importantly, we've outlined 6 concrete strategies to break the cycle. We're going to recap for a brief moment: conducting radical energy audits, introducing emotional rituals, reframing their withdrawals as your recharging time, practicing radical transparency, filling your own cup, and encouraging connections. Using humor to invite, not to hurt, all ways that work. Implementing these strategies is an act of profound self respect, but it's also important to be realistic. You can change the dance, but you can't force your partner to learn the new steps. So, as you implement these changes, one of 2 things will happen. Your partner may, in the face of your newfound strength, feel safe enough to begin their own journey of opening up. However, it is also possible that as you change, the distance between you will grow, highlighting a fundamental incompatibility. This is a painful but necessary truth to face, because if you consistently feel overwhelmed and exhausted, and especially if your partner continues to dismiss or ignore your needs after your efforts, it's a clear sign to prioritize your own health. I love humor too. I got dark humor too. I got dark, inappropriate humor. I got the kind of dark, inappropriate humor to get you 3 strikes in HR. The kind of stuff that'll get me canceled on this podcast. I don't know. Now, when you experience this level of negativity, it may be necessary to evaluate whether the relationship is worth continuing for your own well-being. I specifically say that if you're in a position where you are evaluating if the relationship is worth it, it's not. If you are trying to decide, should I deal with my unhappiness for the sake of maintaining this relationship, for the sake of the kids or whatever, it's not. Sometimes the only solution is to consider moving on. Remember that cracked glass from the beginning of the show? You can't stop pouring. You can decide that your water, which is your energy, your love, your validity, is too precious to be endlessly drained away. If the cup is going to stay broke, there's no reason to keep trying to fill it. If they're not going to patch the cup, time to get a new cup. Plain and simple. We don't keep sailing on the same leaky boat. We either patch that boat or go get another one. We don't keep riding on the same flat tire. We either change the tire or we change cars. One way or another, we're not going to keep going through this. Michael says, and when your partner does something good, let them know, especially when your partner does something good. If your partner does nothing wrong, you want to compliment, appreciate, validate, and show the utmost satisfaction that things are not failing. Then when your partner does something right, you want to idolize that. You want to have damn near a parade on the fact that they're doing good. Because for every one negative thing that you say to your partner, you need 5 to 25 positive things to offset the feeling. We can destroy our own relationships by only focusing on the negative. So while we have to talk about the negative things in life, Mama used to always tell us, if you can't find nothing nice to say, don't say nothing at all. If you can't find 5 nice things to say, don't bring up one complaint. But if you've got 10 complaints and no nice things to say, that's a bad relationship to be in. You're gonna have to find another way to go. Just like having a job. If the only thing you like about the job is the fact that you got direct deposit, but you don't like the pay, you don't like the hours, you don't like your coworkers, you don't like your boss, you don't like the customers, you don't like the tasks that you're doing at the job, there ain't shit. You don't even like the commute. Come on now, you can't find nothing good about this. What you doing here? Now think about that. Like I said, positive relationships is like a vegetable garden. It's going to need it. Pull the weeds. Keep a fence around both of you and build a strong foundation together. See, now this is sage wisdom from 2 old folks. We the last of a dying breed. And y'all got to remember, breaking the cycle is not about fixing your partner. It is about reclaiming yourself, because you deserve to be in a relationship that is energizing you and replenishing you, not one that consistently leaves you empty. You deserve a partner who not only takes your water, but pours their own back into your cup until it overflows. Your journey back to a full and vibrant life is supposed to have started last week, but if it didn't, it needs to start now. Now, if you found this helpful, please give it a like. Make sure that you subscribe for more content. We're going to be building more relationships throughout the week. Share it with someone who might need to hear this message today. And remember, guys, you are not alone in this, and you have the power to change your story. Anything that you don't like about your life, you can come to This and That, and we can talk about it, because what we do is we not only focus on what went wrong, we will also focus on how to fix it. Michael says, and both. Live like poor people. Yes, because if you wasted money, you're not successful. You don't have enough to go around. Now, with that being said, I'm going to say thank you, ladies. He said, build that wealth, build it together, build it. That way y'all can retire together and y'all can live the life of Riley as elderly people, because instead of y'all living off the government, your VA benefits, y'all be living off your savings and your stock portfolios. Make it make sense, y'all. So ladies, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, I'm going to keep asking y'all ladies, please, to make it make sense. Now, fellas, I want to thank you guys. We're about 69% male following from the male perspective, so the women are starting to catch up to us. But fellas, I give you this information to help you guys become higher value men, not only in your financial lives, but also in your personal lives. Take it and use it. Do your research, implement it, regurgitate it. Ladies, this information is not exclusive to the men. You can take this information and make yourselves higher value women. Anything that you guys don't like about your lives, you can proactively fix what is in line with your control. So all you have to do is apply yourself to the areas that you are not satisfied with, and then you'll have a happier life. Like Michael said, remember to like and subscribe. He's about to go off and play chess. I want to thank you, Michael, for staying all night. He's going to be the best moderator we've got on the show. Thank you guys for coming to This and That, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. And I'm going to see you guys tomorrow night.
Chase validation, now I validate My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command.